I'm JD.
And I'm Eric.
And this is the Itch Network. And we're here to review
Final Fantasy 15.
Shit came out, cuz. Can you believe it? Alright, Final Fantasy 15 is not the 15th Final Fantasy, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah! You can believe that! Obviously, Square Enix, it's 10 years in the making. Not necessarily in development, but it's roughly around 3 years in development, 4 years.
And that's one of the problems I have with this game.
We haven't even gotten there yet, but to start off, what's the story about?
So the story is about you are a prince, and you have a entourage of your best friends, and you guys are going on a road trip together to go meet your future bride. And she's the Oracle, which is this celestial, like,
Healer?
yeah, healer being.
She's Ares.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
And
Aerith.
then the car breaks down, you gotta push it.
Yep.
And that's how they
And then
introduce you to the world. And then you see Cindy and fucking...
It's not that crazy of a story, but
Anyway.
I mean, there is a for sure.
Like a Final Fantasy VIII style.
Yeah, but yeah. So essentially, throughout that time, you're kind of tasked with being on this road trip, exploring a little bit, doing quests.
And then the Imperial Army. Is it Imperial? Or is it... it's not the Empire.
I think it's the Empire.
Is it the Empire? Okay, because I've been... along with playing this game, I've been reading the Rogue Legacy book. So I had the Empire from Star Wars and...
You mean the Rogue One?
Rogue One, yeah.
Okay.
So I've been kind of getting the names a little mixed up as I've been going.
I was like, Rogue Legacy is not a bad game, but I didn't know they had a book for it.
So in this, the Empire comes and they attack, and it's not really a secret that they slay your father, the king, and now you're now the king of your kingdom that's now besieged by the Empire, and you're on the run, and everyone thinks you're dead and all that stuff, and you have to gather the power to then take back your kingdom and save the land.
Yeah, so you have to collect 13 Dragon Balls, and after you collect those, you summon the almighty Bahamut.
Yeah.
So anyway, obviously the game kind of focuses a lot on that story element of you being on the run and whatnot, and this road trip. Gameplay-wise, they really do reflect that. A lot of the areas aren't traditionally towns. You're going to pit stops. You're going to diners. You're going to like trailer park setups where you can sleep there and get a nice experience bonus. I stress this to my roommate: you can't play this game on an empty stomach. Because if you stop to rest, they show some of the best looking fucking food, and you're like, damn it, I want to eat that. Why can't I have that?
Anytime you camp, you get to select what kind of food buff you want to give your characters for the following day.
Yeah.
And when they actually prep it, they will set it out so you can actually see it, and oh my god, the food looks delicious.
Yeah.
All of it does. Even the cup of noodles looks delicious.
You're like, is that shrimp on top? That's shrimp on top.
But did you select shrimp too?
I got shrimp. Yeah.
I did too.
So I was like, and I had to fight a crustacean about it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm fighting that.
That's hilarious.
I'm
that we
fighting
both picked the
crabs.
same one. Out of the three options, we picked the same one.
I was like, I want shrimp. But so each one of your team, each one of the characters, you have 4 characters on this road trip that are constantly kind of in and out and whatnot. You play as Noctis,
the prince,
Callium, Lucius. Got it. He's obviously the son to the king. Noctis' his best friend, Prompto. I forgot his fucking last name.
I don't know.
Gladiolus, which literally translates to sword friend.
Sword friend?
Yep. And then Ignis. Ignis Techna something.
Chef.
Yeah, he's your chef. So
and driver.
Gladio is kind of like your muscle. He's the guy, he levels up survival, so he like picks up items off the ground after you kill people. Prompto takes selfies.
Yeah.
And it sounds dumb, but it kind of helps.
At the end of the game,
We'll get it.
Sorry.
But yeah, so
it's worth it. Take
it's worth
pictures,
it.
save pictures.
Take pictures, save pictures, because it gets put into the narrative. And then also there is Ignis, who does drive for you, and cooks, levels up off of cooking. Noctis likes to fish. I've done a little bit of the fishing.
It's actually the most enjoyable fishing experience I've had in a game.
Yeah, I hope 15 or 14 can do their fishing like that, because fishing is kind of boring, and I'm a fisherman in 14. So hopefully they can do something like that, because that's way more fun that way.
Yeah.
Looking into the graphics of it, graphically speaking, I'm actually happy with the game.
I am very happy with the game. I think it falters in some points, specifically when you're fighting, what's the dude's, near the end of the game, the fire dude, Ifrit. When you're fighting Ifrit, did you have the same issues with how bright the screen was that you couldn't really see definition? I had so many issues with this when I was trying to look at pictures and video of that fight. I realized how high the contrast was in that specific part, to where it was hard to see definitions of characters and stuff in that section.
Maybe it's just your PS Pro.
It might be the PS Pro.
PS2.
But yeah, it was a beautiful game. I did have a little bit of issue with sometimes the water looked very bland to me. When you're at the Galden Quay.
Oh, the rich ass fucking pretentious ass.
The resort.
Seafood.
Yeah, the resort place charging $10,000 a plate.
There's a $30,000 inn in the game.
Really?
It does 3K
Wow.
experience. So
Wow.
I'm
Alright.
actually saving up for that one. So.
It would make sense if you're trying to boost up.
Yeah.
Graphically, the water to me sometimes looked a little flat, to where it just looked like cement.
Right.
Because of the colors of it and how calm the water was, it just looked like cement. But overall, it looked fantastic. Sometimes there was a lot of graphical glitches that I came across, where guys would bend in half and start running. I had another one where Prompto, which I have footage of, is completely invisible.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like barely can see him. There's just a couple of lines. Like, he has like one every 8 lines of graphics, so he's really translucent.
Yeah.
I have another one where Ignis was driving the car and decided to stand up, and he's just standing as the car is driving. That's all. We also have footage of that.
Yeah.
I had one where this was before, but I had a chocobo where they jumped and the guy landed on the back of me, because like, you know, when you jump, they jump. So I jumped and my team jumped, and I think it was Gladius was sitting on the back of my chocobo with his chocobo.
Chocobo's tired.
It was just stacking them.
Taking a break.
But there's a lot of graphical issues that pop up, but nothing game breaking, except for one glitch that I had where I got locked in the menu. I could not exit the menu, and every time I tried to, it just pulled up the menu again. I thought it was my controller, so I disconnected, switch controllers, still stuck me in the menu. It got to the point where I had to exit the menu and hit start really fast so I could save, because I didn't know when the last time that it had did the autosave, so that I could then hard reboot my system and turn the game back on. But it made me restart the game before I could continue. That happened once out of 40 hours of game. Sound design and music and all that stuff, I think they did a fantastic job, but there was a few scenes that I came across where there was a specific character who was speaking really quietly while the music and your character is grunting. And it was really hard for me to hear him because of how soft he was whispering. I mean, he was talking just kind of like this as you were experiencing, and your guy's going, ah, ah, and just yelling over top of him, and I couldn't hear what the fuck he was trying to say, so I had to turn subtitles on during that part.
I don't know a game where that doesn't have subtitles.
I typically don't, because I like the actual just straight up visual, like not being, I don't like to read and then look up and read and look up.
I'm deaf, so I'll probably miss what they say. So I
Gotcha.
need to read it. But so you have that as far as sound wise.
Yeah.
Music wise, one of the cool things about the game is that they include pretty much just about every Final Fantasy. I didn't see Tactics, so I was a little upset. But they include a lot of the a lot of the good tracks for Final Fantasies, and you can listen to them while you're in the car. You have to go to the pit stops and buy them. But
Can't you also get the MP3 player and do it while you're running around too?
If I can, I need to get it because I got 14, Final Fantasy 14, and I play a lot of 14, and they didn't have a few of the songs. I was a little upset. They had Titans themes, so that was cool, but they didn't have like Leviathan's theme or Ifrit's theme. No, Ifrit sucks. Shiva's theme. Hers is good. Or Bahamut's. His is freaking dope. But whatever, they have a kind of list in there, and then they have their original their own soundtrack. I actually like the boss music in it. When it's literally like, like you're like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
When you it depends on the encounter, of course. Like when I ran into, first time I remember hearing it was when I fought Midgarzamir, which is the snake from Final Fantasy 7.
Oh yeah.
It's in the pond.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. And then, he, she, it is just like, what's up, motherfucker? I was level 30, 57. The other guy's 57. I was like, fuck this fight. And you had to go past him to get to a main story quest. So that's like.
Is that the waterfall?
By the waterfall.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my shit. But, outside of that, music's, I had no problem with the music. I actually really like the Florence and the Machines kind of mashup. I think that song definitely helps with the theme of the game, where it kind of stands out.
Yeah.
So
gameplay.
Well, yeah, we did kind of skip over that, didn't we?
Yep.
Gameplay, obviously this is an RPG. The emphasis is you playing as Noct. There's little kind of subtle ways to kind of complement your battle style to where it's like, okay, certain enemies have weaknesses depending on which weapon you use, so you can switch on the fly. You can equip and unequip weapons in battle, so that does help. If you have no weapon equipped, that's going to help, like the blobs. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
You usually have to have a gun, and I'm like, the gun fucking blows. But one of the things that's actually really cool is when you get like back attacks, you can do like it's blinds.
Blindsides.
Yeah, blindsides. When you do blindsides, you could do link strikes, in which your guy might team up, closest guy might team up and do like a really cool move with you.
And do a shit ton of damage.
Do a shit ton of damage. So but you can't necessarily spam them. You can still get another blindside, but you're not going to get another link attack if you try and keep going for it all the time. And then you can also command your team to do their own kind of special attack depending on who you're fighting. If you're fighting an airborne target, your best bet's probably to have Prompto shoot it at the sky or something like that. So kind of complements the scene to kind of give you a heads up on, hey, maybe I should switch up a strategy. So they give you those opportunities there. Yeah. And then of course there's dodging and there's
dodging, there's warp striking, there's magic, which I actually have a problem with the magic in the game.
Yep.
I love how much damage it does. I hate the fact that it also hurts my own teammates, and I hate the limited uses that you have of magic. With how infrequent you come across the stuff until later in the game, the resources to grab it, the magic, you combine it with items, and when you combine it with items, you get more uses out of the magic. Like right now, I have a Thundaga that's like potency 350 that I can use 15 times, and that is the coolest one that I have. But it also kills my team when I use it. Have you run into that?
I've done. I had a triple cast in one of the dungeons I had to do where it was Thundara, Blizzara, and Thundara killed Prompto, and then Blizzara, and then Ignis is like, I can't do this. Come here.
Yeah, it's one of the most irritating things that magic does a lot of damage in this game, but it comes at the cost of you killing your own teammates, which.
I think it's just more about using it right. I would be more conscious because I've used magic and got away with it before. But sometimes if you use I haven't used any of the Agas yet because I've leveled up magic a little bit, but not enough. But when you use like fire or something like that, it'll leave fire on the ground.
Yeah,
and
an area of effect.
They can stand on it sometimes, and then they're like, "Oh, it's hot in here,"
and then they don't move.
And then it's like, get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of that, the main gripe I have with Magic is that you just have to constantly remake it. I don't have a hard time getting it, and I don't use Magic all that much, but it was leveled up pretty high in the beginning for me, and then I just stopped because the AP request was like 333 to get it. So I was like, fuck that, I need to worry about my team. But other than that, that's kind of a basic idea on the general gameplay on it. Pros and cons. Pros.
This game is huge. There is so much to do in this game that I don't want to call this a con, but it deterred me from doing the main story because there was so much side missions and side stuff to do. The bond that you create with your team is real. It really, there's a part in the game that they're bickering, and at first I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like, quit going ahead, leave us, like, whoa, just leaving us behind, huh? And they fucking said it like every 30 seconds, and it got to the point where I started getting pissed off. I was like, you know what, Gladius, shut your fucking mouth. And then I realized that's how I'm supposed to feel right now. It's supposed to, my team is bickering. I'm supposed to have these emotions right now.
I know what you're supposed to be doing in that scene, and the fact that he was talking to me means you're an asshole. Because I walked.
Did you?
I walked.
I couldn't do it. Because my issue with that part goes into a con is the AI of the characters. The AI of the characters, they will walk into a bush for 5 minutes until you get into a battle, and then they'll magically get unstuck from the bush and come catch up with you. That was one of my biggest issues with that area, is that I'm trying to run upstairs, and the guy gets, like, he stops running up the stairs because he's turning into the railing because I am up at the top already.
Maybe you should have walked. Then maybe Gladius would have been mad at you.
But maybe Gladius would get the stick out of his ass and explain to me where the fuck he got those scars.
Yeah, with DLC, I guess. Which is free, so that's good.
DLC is free. There is also a season pass.
Yeah, but I mean, outside of all that stuff, another kind of interesting thing, you talked about the bond, which is very important. The gameplay actually isn't really that boring. Going in the first time, I was like, I don't know. I think I told you guys, I don't know how long it's going to keep me entertained. I know the story's going to be decent, but how long is the gameplay going to keep me entertained? And it's fun fighting different bosses. Mainly because the fact of it's like a novelty thing for me playing 14 so much. Like when the core elves or whatever are easy in 14.
Yeah.
And then when you jump in this one, you're like, don't fucking hit him this time. Don't do this. Don't do that. So
they will one-shot you.
Yeah, it's kind of that weird dynamic, and I'm actually going through and I'm looking for certain kind of characters to show up now because I'm like, I want to have these guys
in 14.
Everyone's in 14.
Okay.
Let's get that. Every fucking monster you fight in the game is in 14, but I want to be able to see these guys in 15. Some of the enemies, so I'm still looking out for like Odin and stuff like that because I want to see that shit.
Yeah.
You know, and coming to see like some of the other, I still call them Guardian forces, is cool. It's I think that's like one of the coolest features about it is when one of the Guardian forces gets summoned and they come in and do their shit, and then they're still kind of there afterwards, and you're like, holy shit, like, you know, with
we were huge
with Ramu, which is in the demo. He'll shoot lightning down. He has two different ways that he does it. He'll either
I've only seen the one.
So yeah, either he picks you up and he throws it down, or he literally drops it. If in the underground, he'll drop it and it breaks through the roof of where it's at.
I've done that one. I have not used him outdoors.
Yeah, he's the one. He's probably trying to make up because Titan used to always come and get me, but he's like, he'll pick me up and just shoot him, and then he puts me down, and then you just see him, and you're like, holy fuck, huge. So it's that sense of scale is really there, and that these guys are like really threatening. So it's definitely probably the most realistic Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So far, we'll see how 7 starts to do it, but
yeah,
as of right now, it definitely does that good.
No, what do you got for a pro?
Exploration's nice.
Yeah.
Character building isn't that bad. I actually like all the guest characters.
Me too.
I had a lot of fun with the guest characters. I had to figure out what the fuck Core was from. And I was like, shit, he's
Core?
from... No, Core.
Core.
Yeah, he's from Kingsglaive.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I just connected that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, shit. Shit. But, I mean, he was cool. And whatnot. As far as cons go, I would say one of the biggest cons I have, I was actually going to tell you not to beat it. Because they're updating
The ending?
Chapter 13.
Oh.
Chapter 13 is probably the stupidest mission in the whole game. Chapter 13 is dumb because, without revealing too much, essentially you're playing through what feels like the final chapter of Resident Evil, in which there's monsters everywhere. There's a dude on a sound, kind of projecting like, hey, these guys are bad. They're evil. You know, like, they'll get caught. And you're playing a stupid Metal Gear Solid ripoff, running around and hiding from some of these guys. You don't have to. You have a shitty sword.
Yeah.
You have a very shitty sword. And you're kind of just left with doing some stupid, like, feel sorry for myself. Oh, my life is awful. Whatever the case is, it's done. It's boring. It's done. And honestly speaking, the entire game would have been a whole lot better if they had just passed that off.
I thought some of the pacing in this, as you mentioned, that chapter felt off. There's a chapter. Part of my issue with the story is it's very choppy. It's a great story. They could have told it better. There's specifically a scene where you're in the Empire's base, and then after everything happens, it says several days later, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there at this Chocobo Ranch, and your car's gone. And I'm sitting here left with questions of, how did we get away? Why is our car gone? How did we get to this Chocobo Ranch? Like, all these questions. And there's another time where they drop me off at a power plant that I've already been to, and they go, hey, that power plant looks like it's having some issues. You should go help it out. And it transfers me immediately to there. Just after I finish this really cool quest, it transfers me straight to the power plant, and I fight like level 7 mobs when I was just fighting level 20s. Yeah. And I just blew through everything, and I'm like, what was the point of me doing this right now? Yeah. Couldn't I have done this earlier in the story when it made more sense level-wise? And because it opens up a bunch of side quests for you by completing that. But the progression didn't make sense for that. They did it a couple times where they did and I expected what they would do in Final Fantasy is the flashback to answer my questions, which I didn't really get all that much. And I'm hoping that in the DLC things that are coming out, that I will get a lot of my questions answered. Great story, but it just could have been told better and more cleanly. That's one of my frustrations with how long this game took to make, is that the story still didn't play out in what felt like a sequential order. And there felt like there was lulls too often in the actual progression of the story,
or pauses, or
things like that.
Supposed to. Yeah, I mean it's kind of just the nature of these. In this case, something that's been in development for such a long time, people are gonna switch up their pacing on it. But I mean, outside of that, there's not really too much cons I can really think of. I had a lot of fun playing the game. I didn't feel like I was being pushed into doing anything. I felt like anytime I went somewhere new, it was cool. I think Alticia is like the sickest fucking place.
Yeah.
That was a very well done town. Because towns aren't big in this game. But as far as bottom line, how much would you say for it?
So, I ended up spending $50 on the game. And I just today pre-purchased the season pass, which is another $20, putting me at $70 total for this game. I believe that is 100% the price that I would pay for this. It is well worth the money. I would say that you want to get the season pass or experience the DLC, because there is a lot of story elements that they're planning to do. Like, they have an episode for each of your characters, and then a team episode, and then Ravis.
There's multiplayer
co-op that's coming out.
There's
VR experience for it, playing Prompto.
You get to play as the guest characters. And then there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of content that they're promising to release out again.
A lot of endgame stuff too.
I would pay $80 for all of the above. But yeah, I would highly recommend this. I mean, and this is in the very beginning of the game. It tells you this is for first-time Final Fantasy players and veterans. I don't think they use veterans, but it's for everybody, basically.
I'm a vet, bro.
Yeah,
I'm a vet.
It's very true.
Yeah, I'd probably go with 50. I like the game. I didn't get the season pass. We'll see if I want to get it. I'm just not big on it ever. I've never got a season pass.
20 right now.
But definitely a good experience. I think the main thing I had with the game, I actually got choked up at the end of it.
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, the reason why I got choked up is because if you don't have friends you're not going to care about this story.
You hate people.
If you hate people, if you're not playing the game and going, Ignis reminds me of blank, you're not going to, yeah, Spencer. So maybe you shouldn't play. but me, I could pinpoint everybody on the team to my friends. So
was I Pronto?
you would fit Pronto. I know you want to be Gladio.
I want to be Gladio. I won't be that badass, but
Well, Troy's going to be upset with me because Troy fits Pronto.
does he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He'd be upset
he
because he
does,
wants to
yeah.
be Gladio. I'd give Matt Gladio because we argue the most.
Sure.
I'd give Troy Pronto because we're always like, yo, what's up, homie?
Who's your driver and chef?
My brother. But, I mean, only when...
Who about me, Giddy?
Cindy.
I'm JD.
I'm Eric.
And this is it.
Buy this fucking game. It's worth it.
Thanks for watching.